The colony ship Meridian's Hope had been stranded on Keth 7 for 3 weeks when Alara Voss discovered the cave. The planet was supposed to be uninhabited, a way station for refueling before the final jump to New Terra, but the quantum drive had failed, and now 200 colonists were trapped on a world that the surveys had gotten catastrophically wrong. Keth 7 wasn't barren. It was teeming with life, and most of it wanted them dead. Alara had volunteered for the scouting mission against the captain's protests. She was a xenobiologist, not a soldier, but supplies were running low and they needed to map the surrounding terrain. She'd taken a pulse rifle she barely knew how to use and ventured into the crimson forests alone. That's when she heard the sounds, a guttural snarling mixed with high-pitched whimpers that made her blood run cold. She found them in a clearing beside a limestone outcropping. Mother Karath, as Alara would later name her, was a creature of nightmares made flesh. Nearly 3 meters tall when she reared on her hind legs, her obsidian scales gleamed like volcanic glass. 6 amber eyes blazed with predatory intelligence, and her jaws could crush titanium. She was magnificent and terrifying in equal measure. She was also dying. 4 of the planet's apex hunters, serpentine creatures with razor-wire tails, had cornered Karath and her 3 cubs. The mother had fought with the desperation only a parent could muster. 2 of the attackers lay dead, their bodies torn apart, but Karath had paid the price. Deep gashes crisscrossed her torso, and one of her powerful legs was nearly severed. The remaining hunters were circling, waiting for her to weaken. Alara didn't think. Thinking would have meant recognizing the insanity of what she was about to do. She raised the pulse rifle and fired. The weapon's recoil nearly knocked her flat, but the shot found its mark. 1 hunter convulsed and collapsed. She fired again, missing wildly. Then again. The second hunter shrieked and retreated into the undergrowth. Silence fell over the clearing. Karath turned those 6 burning eyes on Alara. The human could see the calculation. There was this new creature, friend or foe. Alara slowly lowered her weapon and raised her empty hands. She'd studied thousands of species, and she recognized a mother's desperation in any language. Karath made a sound, low and rumbling, then collapsed onto her side. Her massive chest heaved with labored breaths. Behind her, 3 small cubs, barely the size of house cats, huddled together, their scales still soft and pale. Alara approached slowly, every instinct screaming at her to run. She knelt beside the dying creature. Up close, she could see that Karath's wounds were fatal. The hunters' tails had been coated in some kind of hemotoxin. Even with the colony's medical bay, Alara doubted she could save her. Karath seemed to understand. With tremendous effort, she lifted her massive head and nudged her cubs toward Alara. One of them, the smallest, with a distinctive white marking across its snout, stumbled forward and sniffed at Alara's outstretched hand. Its tongue, surprisingly warm, flicked out to taste her skin. "I don't know if you can understand me," Alara whispered, her voice cracking. "But I promise. I'll protect them. I'll raise them like my own." Karath's eyes seemed to soften. She made another sound, gentler this time, almost like a purr, and then her massive body went still. The clearing fell silent except for the confused mewling of 3 newly orphaned cubs. Alara sat there for a long moment, the weight of her promise settling on her shoulders. She was stranded on an alien world, responsible for 200 human lives, and now she'd just adopted 3 apex predators that would eventually grow large enough to bite her in half. "Right," she said aloud, more to convince herself than anything. "Let's get you home." The journey back to the colony was a nightmare. The cubs were frightened, crying constantly for their mother. Alara had to carry them in her pack, one at a time, making 3 trips back and forth. By the time she staggered through the colony's makeshift gates, she was exhausted, covered in scratches, and trying to explain to armed guards why she was carrying what they were certain was a baby murder machine. Captain Torres nearly shot her on sight. "Are you insane?" he shouted, backing away as Alara set the cubs down. "Those things will kill us all." These things just lost their mother, protecting them from something worse. Alara snapped back, surprised by the fury in her own voice. "Their mother died saving them. I made a promise. A promise to a monster. A promise to a mother." The argument raged for hours, Some colonists demanded the cubs be destroyed. Others, including the colony's children who had gathered to stare at the strange creatures, were fascinated. In the end, it was little Maya Chen, barely 6 years old, who settled it. "My mommy died when the ship crashed," she said quietly. Reaching out to pet the white-marked cub, it leaned into her touch, purring. "But Miss Alara takes care of me now. Why can't she take care of them too?" The clearing fell silent. Captain Torres looked at Alara, at the cubs, at the hopeful faces of his colonists, and sighed in defeat. "Fine. But they're your responsibility, Voss. If they so much as—" "They won't," Alara interrupted. "I promise." That was 6 months ago. The colony had since repaired the quantum drive and established permanent structures. They'd made contact with a passing freight hauler and were no longer stranded. They could leave any time they wanted. Most chose to stay. Keth 7, it turned out, was rich in rare minerals and had remarkable potential for colonization. And the colony had an unexpected advantage. 3 juvenile Karath, Apex, Sentinel, and Ghost, the white-marked one, who had bonded with their human family and now helped patrol the perimeter. Alara watched them now from the observation deck. They were already twice the size they'd been, but they played with the human children with surprising gentleness. Ghost was letting Maya ride on his back while Sentinel and Apex mock-wrestled nearby. "You know," Captain Torres said, joining her at the railing, "I thought you were crazy." "I was," Alara admitted. "I still might be. Maybe. But that mother knew something we didn't. She saw something in you. In us." Alara smiled, remembering those 6 amber eyes, the trust in that final moment. "She saw what humans do best, Captain. We adapt. We protect. We keep our promises, no matter how impossible they seem." Below, Ghost looked up and chirped a sound of pure contentment. Maya laughed and hugged his massive neck. "Yeah," Torres agreed softly. "I guess we do."